Welcome to 7 Trumpets Prepper, and in this video, guys, I'm going to talk to you about some scenarios that you can run with your M.A.G group. Now, each of these scenarios I'm going over, about 95% of them we've done together in our prep group. And I think they're great team building exercises. It really kind of shows people's character. It opens your eyes to things that you might not have thought about before, and that way you don't have to deal with that drama later when the time comes and you really need to count on each other. First and foremost, I would always remind people you don't need to be unequally yoked with non-believers when it comes to prepping if you're a person of faith, because it never ends well, and it won't end well later either, so you need to make sure that you're on the exact same page. I think that's very crucial to understand. Now, I would encourage you to watch another video that I'll be doing. I've not done it yet, but whenever it is done, you can check the link right there in the video description below as well, called Dry Run Prepping, Key to Building a Successful Off-Grid Community. And that really details a lot of the steps that you can take, checks and balances to make sure that you have a good, solid community off-grid. But with that said, what I want to do right now is go through these scenarios, and I'm going to list them right here, kind of an idea of, so you can get an idea of these things to run with your group. Now, there's no particular order. I'm just going to run through this. Now, one critical note to keep in mind, the best way to stage these scenarios is you have a designator right there. And that person is the only person for this particular time that you're getting out on your property, or you're getting together as a group just for a camp out or whatever the case may be. That person is the only one that knows what the scenario is going to be. All right, and now what I mean by that is they pick the scenario, and they also, there is a designee. In some of these, that means the person that's going to carry out that scenario, and that way you can let your group know, hey, we're going to run a scenario this time, and that way they've got a heads up, but they don't know exactly what it's going to be. Now, you can also tell everyone what it's going to be and then just select the person or the situation. It's totally up to you, but the best thing to do is have a designated person to oversee that, and it kind of keeps the group out of the know, and that way they can react to it as if it would have been real, which is very teachable. So to begin with, the first one's called the flip out. Now what this is somebody just completely goes nuts, or they just they totally go outside of their own character. It's like, wow, really? Where did this come from? You know, this person just wigs out on you. Okay, and what it does is it shows how that everybody will address that problem, how that they would go to deal with that problem, and help abate it. You know, solve the situation, help the person come to grips with life. And really what that is it's a team building exercise. It shows if everybody's going to come together or they're just going to consume each other, tear the whole group apart just because somebody went nuts. And just, you see people getting across the situation, they go crazy. That's kind of what the flip out is. It's like this person just can't handle living that lifestyle or whatever the case may be, whatever the scenario brought up, and it just kind of makes everybody react to it. Code red. This is opsec. You can have somebody come onto your property. You can actually, the best thing to do is get an outsider to come in. Just make sure you don't have weapons loaded or anything like that on your property while you're out there, and everybody's on high alert. Make sure that they keep an eye on the property, things like that, and it kind of makes you get into that mindset later down the road. What am I doing to make sure my security is in place for the community so that nobody gets injured? And there's a couple different ways you can do that. That's just it's to test your opsec to see, hey, somebody's come into our community, onto the property. What are we going to do about it? Next one is supplies. What you can do is have the designator, the designated person, pick out, hey, we're going to be short on this, we're going to be short on that, something's going to be gone, I'm taking this out of the perspective. What will we do? And how would you respond to that? And that's kind of, what that boils down to. And you can pick what supplies. It might be water supplies. Okay, now we've got to go filter water or find a water source. It makes you think and react. Rescue. This can be somebody goes missing. Now remember, the designated person has to know where that person went missing, all right, and they're only missing for a while. But this is just to, be a team building exercise to help everyone figure out, how would I respond to this if somebody got gone, somebody got missing, and so on. And that also plays into the fact that, somebody might get sick, like you could have an injured person or sick, and like you take the medical person out. In this scenario, you remove the medical person out of the way. Well, now you have to figure out how are we going to address this situation, or what are we going to get how are we going to treat this person, all those things. It just makes, it's great. These are great team building exercises that I'm currently in right now. All right. Now, one that most people don't think about, and I think is probably a very good team building exercise, is the Judas. Now, this one right here, take note too. Every single group of people, think about this personally in your own life right now, whether you're at your job, your family, whatever the case may be. There's been times where the people will pull a Judas. There's always a Judas in every group. Now, one thing about this particular exercise called the Judas is that it puts you in a position where that somebody sells the whole group out, or turns on everyone. And the best way to run that scenario is to randomly just draw straws with the before it begins, and don't let everybody see the straws. And just let the designated person figure out who that person is going to be, or whatever the case may be. Just randomly let them pick it, and let nobody else know that except for the person that's going to be the Judas and the designated person. This way it lets more people react to it, because you're wanting to build your M.A.G group, okay? And the only way you can do this is try to keep it as realistic as possible. So at this point then, you're going to have somebody betray somebody else in the group, and you can find a couple different ways to do this. Number one would just be, throw the person under the bus in front of everybody and be like, they failed at this, or blah, blah, blah. And then everybody's like, where did this come from? And, you can also run that situation where it's like they've told somebody else about your M.A.G group, about your supplies, things like that. And you can run it as an opsec situation where people come in on you, and obviously you'd want the designated person to make sure everybody knew, kind of an idea of what that was going to be if you were going to do that scenario. But the Judas is a good one because, it makes you think, what if somebody did stab me in the back? What do we all do then as a community? Do we cast them out? Do we forgive them? I mean, it definitely will make you think. And like I said, these things, you really need to think this through, because later down the road, this stuff's going to come up. And we've ran a lot of these scenarios, and it's kind of amazed me. At some of the things, how the people react to it. And not only that, myself, I'm like, we definitely need to get this together. We need to think this through. Man down. Man down is kind of like rescue, but, in this situation, it's a medical one, and it makes you think about your medical situation, how that you're going to be able to take care of these people in this particular situation. Are you going to be able to take care of this person in this situation? And if you can't, how would you have addressed it, or how will you address it later down the road, or with this supplies that you have now? And this situation, the designated person will pick the person that's going to be man down, and then while you're out on your property or whatever the case may be, then that person is just gonna play out the scenario that, hey, I've got this going wrong with me, or whatever the case may be, and then you're gonna have to figure out what to do to address that. That one is definitely a really good one, and it shows you, it shows you how everybody will come together. Definitely a good one. Big event. This one here. For a person like myself that's specifically prepping for a lot of different things because of the 7 Trumpets Revelation, it comes to so much. Big event can be like pandemic, financial breakdown, things that might happen before the trumpets. And it makes you figure out, okay, who do we contact? Where do we go? What do we do? The system. This one actually helps you figure out how everybody organizes, goes out to their property, gets out to the location, brings the group together, all this. That one definitely makes you think this through, how that I'm going to get out to my land, how I'm going to get set up, in the whole 9 yards. And it just helps you better plan and better organize, so that when the time does come, that you can be like that, out to your property, organize everybody, make sure everybody's there together. That one's a really good one. I actually, that's probably one of my favorite, because right now, a lot of these scenarios, even though that you can treat them as they're real, they're really not real, if that makes sense what I'm saying. But like big event, if you run that scenario, it's like that one's a time crunch situation where you're trying to organize everybody, get out to the property, make sure you've got your plan in place that everybody assembles and where they assemble to. And that one you can really run as real time, because I mean that can happen anytime, and everything you're doing right then practicing, you will be doing real when the time does come. The outsider. Now this one is where that you will take somebody that is the best way to run this is other people that you know that have a MAG, or other people you trust and everybody else trusts, but like they have somewhere else they're prepping. Well, then what you'll want to do is, being that everyone knows that person, kind of reach out to them, is bring someone in to the community, like while you're out on the land, or you're practicing, working the land together, living out there together, developing your property, is bring an outsider in. It's like, we're going to make this guy a part of our community, and see how everyone reacts to it. Now obviously the designated person will know what's going on, but then just bring that person in, and everybody already might know them, but like I said, y'all don't prep together. They're in another MAG group, or there's someone all of you know, but they do their own prepping thing aside. But just bring them in just to see how things would mesh, and it really mixes things up, and it just kind of shows you how that everyone would treat other people if later down the road you do bring other people into your community, and kind of how that you should go about that, how everybody's directive is kind of toward that person. Now, the last one that I'll bring up is lights out. I like this one. Probably my favorite. It's when all your alternative energy, all your off-grid power, you run an event where that, like, if you're out there on your property or developing your land, that time that you're out there with everybody just for practice run, you cut everything off. You got no power, or you take specific things out of your power grid. Then you figure out as a community, how are we going to figure this out? Get the power back on with the resources that we have now, because the designated person said, this time we can't use solar, we can't use wind this trip, so what are we going to use? And it brings everybody together to brainstorm. And not only that, but like if you have the extremely tech savvy people, if you remove them out of the way in that particular scenario too, along with the power, then it makes everybody think, okay, what do I do now, because I don't have power and I don't have the people that know how to do it. So it makes everyone else start to try to understand, how the off-grid power works, what I need to do in case somebody's not here, such as someone myself, my MAG group, that's what I take care of, really focus a lot on. So it's like, what do we do, like, if Luke's not here? How do I wire this? How do I fix this? Blah, blah, blah. And it makes people respond to those things. I think the medical ones, and especially the power one, it brings everybody to the point on the table where it's like, I've got to learn these skill sets. And especially the opsec too. And I keep letting that slip my mind. The opsec is, I think, running those scenarios, it makes everyone step up a notch and be like, I've got to be more than just a contributor. I've got to know other skill sets too. And it makes your MAG group a lot more solid, makes it a lot more stronger, and it gives you an insight on what to expect when the time comes, so that you know how people will react and how to react to them reacting. And, I hope that's a help to you. A lot of people, you kind of, I think have brought up some scenarios that you can do with your MAG group. That's some that we've ran. Some of them turned out really good. I got to be straight with you. A couple of them, I was shocked. I was shocked at how a lot of others reacted, and I was shocked at how frustrated I got, too. And that's exactly what you need to do, so that later down the road, you'll have the right approach to that. And that's exactly why we do it now, because I'd much rather do this now and get frustrated at times when running these scenarios than later down the road not have ever tried to practice it at all and then be like, well, what the flip we do now? So that's some food for thought. Make sure to watch the video coming up that I'm going to do that's called Dry Run Prepping, a key to building off-grid, successful off-grid community. And that video right there will help lay a lot of foundation work for those that are wanting to build an off-grid community. And ladies and gentlemen, it don't happen overnight. I have made attempts in the past at developing land and so on, and it hasn't worked out. This farm I built for many years didn't work out. And so, you have to take things a day at a time, and that's just how it is. But moving forward from all the things I've experienced in the past, it's taught me the direction I need to go now. And I'm so grateful for the prior experiences, because the time that still is left here on this earth and the resources I have, I can direct them in the right direction I need to. And hopefully with you running these scenarios with your MAG group, family, friends, that it'll help show you the direction that you need to go as well. So until we see you again here at 7 Trumpets Prepper Channel, I hope you have a most blessed day in Yahushua's name.